This ain't no Resident Evil or Silent Hill. One of the dumbest and least scary survival horror games I've ever played. Best game series ever.
When was the last time we got a survival horror co-op? I know, it's been a while. Dead by Daylight and Phasmo are currently the backbones of that wagon. Even then, those games aren't linear nor provide a fully fleshed out story. And even though Resident Evil's most successful entries are the ones that feature co-op capability, Capcom has not revisited the idea since, and who knows if they ever will for the RE5 remake. So, where does that leave the horror fans to go? The one place they know best. The 2000s, the shining years of survival horror, and the deliverance of the co-op survival horror game Obscure. This game is the epitome of classic survival horror, redefined into a co-op experience that's not only fun, but a gem that has been hiding for too long. This is a game that's been blessed to get a port on the PC so everyone in today's time can enjoy it. So let's discuss why Obscure is so good. Hydravision was founded in 1999 and would have a short lifespan all the way up until 2012. The only notable work Vision had on their plate was Obscure, Obscure the Aftermath, and Alone in the Dark Inferno. The development company would later have a name change to Mighty Rocket Studio, but has yet to develop or show anything concrete. Their last tweet talks about the HD ports of Obscure 1 and 2 back in 2014. Who knows? Maybe the team has been secretly cooking up a banger for almost a decade? As of now, there are only 2 people left at the company. With the company falling into bankruptcy and getting sucked to the underground, at least they left us with a cult classic that still has hundreds of thousands of fans that continue to keep the name Obscure in the limelight. Obscure was originally supposed to be named Mortophilia. This name was later scrapped, but did continue to play a big part in the game. You'll hear that word come up later on. The original Obscure font gave an extremely different vibe that felt cartoonish and comical. While I do like it, I do think that the red title card works much better. There's no place I could find that showed me how many copies this game sold, but it's worth mentioning that it did qualify for a sequel, giving an estimate of over 100,000 sales. Obscure opens up with some high crane shots of the main setting this game is going to be taking place at, Leafmore High School. Playing in the background is music brought to us by popular 2000s band Sum 41. So am I still waiting for this world to stop hating. We pan to a basketball court where we are introduced to all of our main characters. Kenny, Shannon, Stan, Josh, and Ashley, who's actually not there. These are all the characters you can choose to play as. No, this is not a game that forces you into playing specific characters in specific segments, but rather letting the player choose who they want to play as whenever they want. Don't worry, we'll discuss this more soon. We pretty much learned that Kenny is the big shot in the group just by his attitude and how he talks to his sister Shannon and Josh. After Josh gets rejected by Shannon, Kenny stays after hours to continue playing ball. Kenny gets on his phone with his girlfriend Ashley, so distracted that a mysterious figure in the back of him steals his backpack.
Hey, what the? Where's my bag? Oh, man.
Kenny decides it's in his best interest to follow the culprit that stole his bag. Yeah, Kenny, it's not suspicious that this figure is essentially leaving a paper trail for you to follow. Not sus at all. Now, I don't know about y'all, but the bag is yours if you think I'm gonna step into a cellar to retrieve it. Kenny finds some tape, a flashlight, and oh my god, would you look at that? A gun! After hearing a creepy noise coming from the basement, he thinks it's best to go check it out. But not before taping a flashlight on top of a gun. Look, I don't want to get sidetracked right now, but I'm gonna do it. When I was shooting my silly little Obscure film, the actor that played Kenny spoke to me before the scene and was like, why is the light on top of the gun? It makes more sense to put it on the bottom. And I was like, just put it on top, that's how it is. I know he probably thought I was crazy given zero context for this action. Anywho, I was really thinking about it when writing this, and dude, it makes no sense to have the flashlight on top of a gun. Rule number 1 when using a firearm: don't block the chamber, damn it. The flashlight does play an important part in the story, and we see why now. Clearly, whatever enemy we'll be fighting is vulnerable to light. Kenny enters a room and finds a bald man named Dan, hiding in a little corner pleading to be saved. This man clearly doesn't look well at all, but he does have some drip on his shirt. Ilsa, harem keeper of the oil sheiks. Very interesting choice of using a sexploitation movie out of all things, but okay. Kenny is so unfazed by this, telling Dan,
Let's bolt.
like the macho man he is. And now we unlock the official co-op experience. Connect that other controller cause it's gonna get crazy. Boom. The first enemy appears and it's hard to get a good look at it because you just don't have time. We need to save Dan. Dan tries to fight the enemies off as Kenny pushes a container blocking the door. But unfortunately, Dan's death is inevitable. Whether you make it out the door or not, he will die. Rest in peace, Dan. We'll miss you. Kenny tries to run back, but boom! He doesn't make it. Is Kenny alive or dead? I guess we have to keep going to find out. Finding Kenny is the main plot of the game, but it's not the only obstacle you'll encounter throughout. We see Leafmore High School in the daytime, with our characters trying to figure out where Kenny is. Principal Freedman hawks them down to get to class, saying some very supervillain shit right after.
Yes, take advantage of the sunshine while it lasts.
Not sus at all, guys. The teens conspire in class, coming up with a plan to find Kenny, but end up getting locked in the school, so they have no choice now. This section is going to be mixed up, mentioning some previous characters just because they're integrated with each other. The main highlight for this game is the free choice of picking the character you want to play as. Each character has their own special abilities that entice the player to pick said character. I'm gonna be real with you, I never played as Ashley. You not playing or changing your character is not gonna alter your gameplay in any way. Each character will be able to achieve anything in this game. Some just might be slower at performing the tasks than others. Josh can tell you if you need to continue exploring the area. Shannon can help solve puzzles and heal at a higher percentage rate. Ashley has special attacks with pistols and can deal more damage with all weapons. Stan can crack locks quick, and Kenny can walk faster and throw a good punch. The gameplay gets real when you're playing as Josh, trying to unlock a lock and you start to hear sounds coming from behind you. Yeah, your partner can protect you, but only for so long. Do you continue solving or do you fight and risk starting again? This playstyle has successfully made my anxiety shoot off the roof and yell for my character to go faster. I haven't mentioned the best thing that this game has to offer. No plot armor. In countless games, we've seen characters graced by the protection of plot armor in ridiculous ways. Lara Croft, Leon Kennedy. Do I have to mention Ethan Winters? New or old, obscure twist to your gameplay by offing the character if your dumbass doesn't know how to play. Make sure you save with CDs you find around the school, because if your buddy dies, then you are on your own. I really love this aspect because I genuinely didn't know that this was a thing until one of my characters died. At first, I didn't think your AI character could die, but I also thought to myself, it's okay, he'll just come back in the next round. He never came back. I wholeheartedly believe that this game is a teamwork effort, and its whole existence thrives on the fact that you're supposed to do it with another person, which is why we are moving into co-op. Yeah, I know that during everyone's high school years, you've once had that underlying thought that it would be much more fun to explore a high school after hours with your friends. Smashing every vending machine or a door that you can't get into, just smash away. I hope those cameras aren't on. Smashing stuff does have its purpose. It allows you to gather health drinks, find key items, and use light coming out of the window to hurt enemies. So, let's dig deeper into that co-op now, shall we? Co-op is a popular option that allows you to play with a friend, whether that be online or local play. Many horror games do not offer co-op, especially ones that involve single-player-like stories. The only other co-op I can think of that we got on the PS2 was Resident Evil Outbreak, and those servers are gone now anyways. The AI when playing alone is not bad, but the co-op experience is a massive highlight this game has to offer. A common problem that co-op games face is when you lose your partner on screen. I would not like to lose my partner for a game like this though, that's for sure. This game, however, fixes that problem. By commanding a leader in place, each person has the ability to change the camera movement at any time in case one has to catch up with the other. This especially helps when you're trying to battle bosses or fight enemies. You can change your character at a meeting point or pick up a new one if you got someone killed. Don't tell your partner this, but you can hit your ally for shits and giggles. The flashlight is one of the most important items in the game. As I mentioned before a few times, light equals 0 enemy territory. So having that light plastered on your weapon is the right choice. The flashlight has a light meter, which indicates that you only use it for a few seconds. Then it has to recharge for another few seconds so you can use it again. This amps up the enemy battles since you want to blind them quickly, but you have to wait till that meter fills up again. After exploring, the two investigate some noise coming from the attic. Boom! First enemy encounter. As long as you walk to the window here, it triggers a cutscene, so I don't really know if this counts as your first fight. We're told to look for Principal Freedman from our teacher. Yeah, let's not question him about the weird, crazy monster shit that's going on in our school. I was just gonna continue, but oh, another cutscene.
Miss Ashley, what was your reaction when you saw those creatures?
Get lost.
Do you really think you'll get out of here alive?
Don't bug me, okay? I'm calling the cops.
And you, Shannon? Care to comment?
Cut it out. I'm too scared to get around.
Oh no, the battery's dead.
Big surprise. You've been filming for hours.
It's not possible!
So any luck?
Stupid phone. I get no reception here. What are we gonna do now?
We don't have any choice. We've gotta warn Freedman.
So these kids remain unfazed. Stupid fucking kids. Ashley tries to call the cops, but of course, there's no service in the courtyard. The one that we saw everyone hanging out at in one of the first cutscenes of the game. Look, if I was them, I would just leave. Call the police, explain the situation, and then come back to the school with them. What I'm pleasantly surprised about is the decent selection of weapons this game has to offer. There's no doubt that guns will always outweigh melee weapons. Anyone would take the option of having a light defense and a weapon rather than just a weapon. The pistol and shotgun are the ideal way to go. Stick a flashlight on those bad boys, and you're good to go. Melee weapons are good to pass at your AI or friend, so you stay with all the real weapons. We've talked a lot about characters in this game already, but let's go over them legitimately here. Have you seen The Faculty? No? Okay, watch it and then come back. This game was heavily inspired by this movie. They even took the name Stan and practically used Josh Hartnett's face. If we were trying to compare The Faculty versus Obscure, Josh is Casey, Stan is Kenny, Ashley is Delilah, Stan is Zeke, and Shannon is Stokely plus Mary Beth. I mean, I don't know how much you guys care about characters, but they not only took heavy inspiration from the movie, but they are the most stereotypical characters that have ever been in a game. Let's do the teen rundown. Josh is the nerdy filmmaker dude that surprisingly has friends. He likes to record all the time and has a crush on Shannon. Kenny is the popular jock that plays basketball, is a strongman, and has a little arrogance and stupidity to him. Shannon is Kenny's brother who definitely didn't dress with the thought of fighting monsters in her mind, but always ends up coming out on top. She always seems to be the most chill out of the group. Ashley is Kenny's girlfriend. She seems very hot-headed, probably because Kenny is always pissing her off, and definitely dominates the relationship. Professor Walden is your teacher. He's just there and comes up from time to time. He's there after the school closes and clearly knows what's going on. We don't really know what side he's on for the most part. Stan is the Zaza King. Not fully there, kinda slow, has good style, super laid back, and gets very bad grades.
Haven't you seen? In the hallways, there are these monsters creeping around. It's a real hell.
Whoa, dog. I don't know what you've been smoking, but you need to stop.
But don't tell me you didn't see anything. You didn't notice anything bizarre?
Yeah, everything I see up in this piece is whack.
So what do you think those noises are? It's not funny. We can't find Kenny.
What? You better quit jerking me.
Mr. Freedman is the principal. He's 100% shady and already looks guilty by his face. We'll uncover more of his character later. Most of the characters are one-dimensional and pretty straightforward. You can say that this game is very self-aware. Your two characters go in a room with a phone recording. Someone on the speaker is yelling to pick up the phone, saying that many students have turned into these monsters because of the quote-unquote experiments. The puzzles in this game are fairly straightforward. They're not at a Resident Evil level, but they do have you think for some short seconds. I think that the puzzles in this game being pretty easy is the most believable thing here. I don't expect there to be paintings that you have to fill pieces in, but then again, this school is shady as hell. All of the puzzles are well paced and fit nicely into the game. The two characters finally find Mr. Freedman and explain that there are monsters at the school. Freedman looks like he's rethinking his life choices and is shocked to find out that students, monsters, and Professor Walden are still at the school. Freedman tells them to leave and come back tomorrow, saying he'll take care of the monsters. Oh, excuse me, Freedman. I didn't know you were so tough. Alright, we're halfway through this game and it's dark outside now. Obviously the kids aren't leaving because what would be the fun in that? This is where the tone really starts to change for the game. At the start of the game, this campus, like high school, is very light and bright. There's more light to use, easier to see, and not terrifyingly scary. Now it's dark, no more light, no more extra help, and scarier corridors to run through. I'd like to briefly go over locations. This is a really big high school, but it's shaped to look like a campus too. I'm not sure why. Who knows? The locations feel very interactive. You can move and break things, see smoke coming out of pipes, watch walls break, and feel the ground shaking. It just feels fun to explore. There are so many rooms, and the deeper you explore, the scarier and grimier it gets. Very nice touches. I just want to know how Freedman was planning to clean all of this the next day. Our characters find video surveillance of Kenny the night before being followed. Oh my gosh, it was Freedman that stole his bag and took Kenny. Who would have guessed? Wow. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that it was Freedman? I would have never in a million years. You got me. Sold. We learned that the monsters were coming out from the basement and were sent loose. The school nurse Wickman needs help, but Kenny's alive though. Let's go find him. Miss Wickman starts talking about Freedman, then this guy named Leonard being let out. She's going mad. We enter the auditorium that includes a lot of pictures of Freedman and what appears to be his twin brother. You're telling me that no one has noticed these photos before? The characters clearly find out that Freedman has not aged in a large number of years. Something here is very wrong. They start up a video and the truth is uncovered. I'm gonna go ahead and try to explain this video, so there's gonna be some major spoilers. Herbert and Leonard Freedman, twin brothers, experimented with a plant called mortophilia. See? I told you that name would come up again. No one wanted to help them with their experiments. Apparently, the plant was supposed to be used to make an anti-aging system. After finding no backers, Leonard injected the serum into his body, causing him to become mutated. Herbert decided to build a school on top of an underground lab to secretly kidnap students to use as test subjects. That's really messed up. And that's why Herbert hasn't aged. That means that poor Leonard has been mutating in the basement for years. I think now would be a great time to talk about enemies. The spore-throwing green goblins. All of these enemies follow the theme of genetic mutation of mortophilia. Some used to be human and some are not. This game doesn't feature many bosses, and many of the ones that you do encounter are enemies you're bound to see again. So let's go over the common enemies. We got the Mordor, who has two variants, the frog and human variant. They look the same and they do the same thing, so having two variants of the exact same enemy is kinda silly. They're the most common enemy you'll come across when battling enemies. They're not that strong nor do anything crazy. You'll most likely meet these guys in multiples though. There are a few infected students that you do see around, but most won't attack the player except for this guy. Most of the other infected students just look like this one, even with the same clothes on. I guess when you get infected with spores, it just changes your outfit to the one the first guy had on. Nice. Abra, which I hope I'm pronouncing right, is another common enemy. It can attack you with its claws and jump. However, it's nothing that two people can't defeat. While spores aren't an enemy that you fight at per se, they linger on walls and can hurt your health when you go through them. You see these spores very early on in one of the student bathrooms, and come across them with enemies and without them. They don't like light, so shine some on the wall to get through. Worms are worms. Fuck those worms in every game. Grimpers, which, please, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, are the most annoying enemy in the game because what can they do? They climb on the goddamn walls. Anytime a game has old mechanics plus wall monsters, they're always going to be the worst enemy you'll ever meet. This enemy has the ability to strangle you from above, or just do regular melee attacks. These are the most difficult when there are multiple enemies, some being on the floor and these guys being on top. While they are fast, these enemies can be terminated pretty quickly with a flashlight shine and some handgun bullets. What the fuck is his name? Crabe. Has this big arm to walk on, likes to bash through walls, and uses a technique that allows him to stomp on the floor and make spikes that shoot up at you. This is one of the cooler enemies, just because of his attacks and how they're intergrained with the floor map too. You can stun lock this enemy and shoot him down pretty easily. Yeah, that's pretty much for your common enemies. Mind you, this game only has a runtime of about 3 to 4 hours. The mini boss battles I was talking about are with this enemy called Rain. It appears 3 different times and is essentially a fat monster that can only harm you with one of its arms. It can throw worms at you, so watch out for those little creatures. I don't really know if I'd call it a boss just because it lays there and lets you shoot at it, but okay, sure. This Abre is like the next level of the regular infected student one. It's more powerful, stronger, and much bigger. You do see these guys a few times in later levels, and I would consider him a little mini boss. A few shotgun hits should get him down pretty quickly. There is one big boss in the game. But why don't we finish up the story before I spoil the surprise? All of the students make it down to the basement. Oh my god. Kenny's like, please, get me out of here, please. Then boom, Freedman throws a smoke grenade in the room. Where did he get that? I don't even know. Now everyone's coughing on the floor. How embarrassing. Do better. All of that time you spent trying to find Kenny just to get locked up in there that quickly? Are you serious? The characters get out very quickly because of a pole that can reach the button to release the locks.
Kenny, what's wrong? Quick, get up. We can't stay here.
Freedman gave us injections of that stuff. If the light hits us, we'll be transformed.
Don't worry. We'll find a solution. Now that we have the cutters, we can check out the place where Freedman does his dirty work.
Infirmary. We've got to see Wixon.
She's with Freedman. She'll never help us.
There's no choice. We only have till sunrise. After that, we're done for.
Now we can control Kenny. It's a little disappointing that we have to wait so long to use our 5th playable character, but
it is what it is.
Oh yeah, this is the coolest group I've ever seen. Oh no, Wickman died. She was such a good character. But here I have some more lore for you to watch, so sit back and watch this clip.
My name is Alan Gardner, and this is my diary. 26. I have now counted 26 cases of missing persons connected with the school. Strange that the police have never come up with anything about it. Our school was founded in 1902 by twin brothers Herbert and Leonard Freedman. Herbert is still our principal. That would mean he's at least 100 years old. I just found their birth certificates. Judging by that
How
date,
have they stayed so young for so long?
I found this photo of a woman with Herbert, or Leonard. She looks a lot like Ms. Wixon. Photos
According
from
to
the late
this marriage
19th
certificate,
century. Ms. Wixon and Leonard got married in 1885. Leonard was last seen in 1921. He supposedly died in a plane crash, but they never found his body, or even the plane. I found some articles about the Freedman brothers and their experiments, said to be so original that they went beyond
In
human
1890,
morality. They went on an expedition to Africa to find medicinal plants. They stayed for 6 months and brought back a large number of hitherto unknown varieties. One strange specimen, Mortophilia, became the basic subject of their research. Photos of disfigured people in his office. I absolutely must find his lab. Underneath the high school, in the basement. I managed to follow him unnoticed through the gardens to the basement of their house. I searched the lab, and according to Freedman's notes, the anti-aging serum is yet to be perfected. The photos of half-human creatures bear witness to the failed attempts. Prolonged exposure to the sun results in mutation. There's also a big door in one room. I don't know what's behind it, but I think I understand how to open it. There's a mechanism with little statues. I've seen 3 of them around the library and one in the gardens. Tomorrow I'll go and try to see what's going on behind that door.
Okay, hopefully that wasn't too long for you guys to watch, but if my explanation wasn't clear earlier about the Freedman brothers, then I hope that helped you. The students find a map that leads to the secret basement, and what do you know? Mr. Waldman steals it. He doesn't look alright either. He's for sure infected. The characters find the entryway to the secret basement and are able to find papers that show some failed experiments. Getting deeper and deeper, the pair fight off another fat monster, complete a puzzle, and save the game. And now, the end is near. Oh, we're about to fight.
Stop, that won't help.
You're lying!
But it won't do you any good.
That's the antidote! Give it to me, right now!
You've been exposed to too much light.
No!
Walden, stop.
Give me the antidote or I'll shoot!
You've already started to mutate. Forgive me. I almost found the formula. I almost did it. Ugh.
We're about to fight the final boss. It's gonna get real. Freedman and Walden are dead. And whoa, straight into the boss fight with no warning or anything. Everything just went from 0 to 100, and now here we are, fighting the final boss of the game. Of course, before this, you do have the option of picking out what character you'd like to use when fighting Leonard. Of course, you can also choose to do this fight alone in fear of killing your AI buddy or co-op friend. Alright, so you can defend yourself by standing in light when he tries to throw black spores on you. He has a lot of tentacles, and the best way to describe this boss is Plant 42 from Resident Evil. As long as you dodge his tentacle arms, which isn't all that hard, this man is gonna plummet as the ceiling falls off. And there, Leonard is slowly but surely decaying and burning as the light hits him after all of these years. It's finally over. The students reconvene, and most inject themselves with the serum to make sure they don't turn into one of those things. Now, don't ask me how they're alive in light before doing so, cause I don't know, it's a game. Kenny and Ashley are already making out. That's their choice. Josh just got some major riz and bagged Shannon. And poor little Stan is left all alone with the maybe little monster girlfriend waiting for him outside. I don't know. Little does he know that in the second game, I'm not gonna spoil it, sorry, and that was Obscure. That was the silliest game ever. But man, do I love this title so much. What can I say? I wholeheartedly believe that this game is still an absolute banger, and I think it's the perfect game that you can still enjoy with friends today. With most of the games out there, people nowadays think way too seriously about them, and this is one of those games where you don't really have to think too hard. You can for sure beat it in 1 to 2 sit-throughs, and while that might throw the appeal off for some people because of its short runtime, I do believe that this game has a big amount of replayability with its hard and special modes. And look, by the way guys, I'm not gonna lie with you, the special mode outfits, they are bad. What is this? What the hell is this? I'm not gonna question it, but I don't know. It is special. It's very special. Guys, Obscure is cheap on Steam. This is not sponsored by anyone, but please, give it a try. Enjoy that old school horror that I wish we could get more of these days. Sit back, be silly, and if you do play, be sure to come back to this video and tell me your honest review. And on that note, stay obscure.